This podcast is sponsored by the book, The Biased Brain, by Bo Bennett, PhD. Dive into the world of cognitive biases and transform your understanding of reality. Get your copy today at thebiasedbrain.com.
How memory illusions reveal the biased brain and impact decision-making. Discover how memory illusions unveil cognitive biases in human cognition and why our memories aren't always reliable. Learn to sharpen critical thinking today. Why your memory isn't always what you think it is. You know how sometimes you're absolutely sure about an event from your past, only to find out that what you remembered wasn't exactly how things happened? Like maybe you swear you left your keys on the kitchen counter, but they're actually in your jacket pocket. That's the kind of fascinating stuff memory illusion research looks into, and it tells us a lot about how human cognition works. Memory illusions are these quirks or glitches in the way our brains recall information. It turns out that our memories aren't like perfect video recordings. They're more like stories that get rewritten every time we remember them, and sometimes those stories can be way off from reality. What's especially intriguing is how this all ties into cognitive biases. Our brains naturally want to simplify and make sense of the huge amount of information we take in daily. But that simplification process can produce errors, including false memories. Memory illusions show us just how biased our brain can be, even in something as basic as remembering what happened yesterday. Here's an example researchers love: the Diess-Roediger-McDermott DRM paradigm. You're given a list of words to remember, say bed, rest, awake, tired, dream. Later on, you might confidently remember the word sleep being on that list, even though it never was. This happens because your brain fills in gaps and connects related concepts, which is a classic case of bias in decision-making based on association and expectation. This kind of false memory is super common, and in some cases, memory illusions can create very compelling and detailed, but completely fabricated recollections. It's not just random mistakes. Often the brain actively fills in missing pieces to create coherent narratives, whether or not those narratives are true. Why does this happen? Partly it's because of how memories are stored and retrieved. When we remember something, we don't just access a static file on a hard drive. Instead, a memory is reconstructed every time it's recalled. This reconstruction is influenced by our current knowledge, beliefs, emotions, and even expectations. So the memory can be shaped, twisted, or biased by any of those factors. The research into memory illusions is an important piece in the larger puzzle of understanding cognitive biases. It shows us that even what seems like pure memory isn't always trustworthy. This has big implications, especially in legal settings where eyewitness testimony can be a deciding factor. It calls for more awareness and critical thinking when assessing what people remember, because memories are prone to error. There's also a fascinating connection between memory illusions and how critical thinking and biases affect our day-to-day lives. If our memories can be distorted so easily, how much more vulnerable are we to other cognitive biases that shape judgment and reasoning? It reminds us that human cognition is wonderfully complex but also wonderfully imperfect. If you're curious to explore more about how our minds trick us and the science behind these biases, I highly recommend checking out the book The Biased Brain by Bo Bennett, PhD. It's packed with insight about how our brains operate and why we're wired to see the world the way we do, often with all sorts of hidden biases affecting everything from memory to decision-making. Understanding these memory quirks and cognitive biases is not just for scientists, it's something that can help all of us improve our critical thinking and biases awareness in daily life. When you realize your brain might be playing tricks on you, you start questioning your assumptions and become more careful about the conclusions you draw, whether it's about what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. So if you've ever been fooled by your own mind or found yourself wondering why people remember things so differently, you're definitely not alone. Our brains have a tendency to favor coherence over accuracy, and memory illusions are the perfect example of how this plays out. Explore the book and unravel the secrets of your mind today. Visit http://www.thebiasedbrain.com for a fascinating journey through the surprising ways your brain shapes and sometimes skews your perception of reality.